26. It's a brand new day.
Wednesday.
In my restless dreams, I see that mirror with her ghost childhood girlfriend.
They weren't girlfriends. That's why Lorraine killed herself.
I know. Earlier, you just asked a question about you don't understand why she blames herself.
Well, yeah, because she's like, oh, it's all my fault. But maybe Lorraine needs to learn how to deal with rejection a little better. You know?
I mean, you're not wrong, but like, somebody blaming themselves and somebody actually being at fault are two different things. There's a thing in psychology that's very well understood, and it's called survivor guilt. Maybe this isn't fully applicable in a way, but like, I can completely understand why she would blame herself. She shouldn't.
She can feel bad, sure, but...
What I find interesting, actually, is that so far, now that we're seeing things from her perspective, I mean, it feels a little bit like they've set up, like, this is her, like, all of these things. It's like, oh, I didn't realize she was this kind of person. And it sounds like all of these things are, like, the way the story's telling us is that she's doing all of these things because, you know, the drinking and the sex, because she's running away from having something with, blaming herself for Lorraine killing herself.
Right, that's the way they make it seem.
I hope it's more than that, but that's what it seems so far is telling us. And you wanted to know something about what?
Marianne.
Yeah. About her father? Likes cats and anime. And is Irish.
Yeah, for some reason I thought he was dead.
I don't see, what does it say, anything about her father in this?
Yeah, he has Alzheimer's.
Well,
but it's not her biological father. Does it say friend?
Because it says only had one friend, and he has Alzheimer's. Oh, wait, intent on graduating and returning to her father. Sorry, I didn't read that full sentence. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not even her real father then, because she was left in a dumpster, and a peddler found her.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was added? 22nd? Oh yeah, we saw her in the library. Rebecca Gales. And oh, there's still more new stuff further in the day, I'm guessing then. Blueprints. Nothing exciting or special. The radio.
The pancakes.
And the mirror.
At least it's a nice image, not the scary one.
Right. Okay.
I think it's interesting because no one else has seen any other ghosts besides the one with the black hair.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange that this one would show up.
So why is... Yeah, she hasn't... Oh, she did see the black-haired ghost girl with the radio... At the apartment. Yeah, at the apartment, the radio thing. But not at the mansion. She saw someone else in the mirror. Hannah saw the black-haired ghost girl in the mirror when she was doing the tour. And it's like, oh, and Luke's like, we can get a helipad. And then she's like, oh, but we must get rid of this dreadful painting. What painting? You mean the mirror? Oh.
That'd be really funny. This awful image on the wall, that's you.
And then she's seen someone else in the mirror.
Right, which I think is very strange. It doesn't make sense, because why would she be tied to that building? But at the same time, it seems the black-haired lady isn't tied to the building itself. So I'm very curious, because in most, like, ghost stories, they're tied to a certain place or an object.
So, like, I'm wondering if it's more of that the house just, like, is Lorraine somehow related to that family? Is the house just a place of, like...
All the ghosts come there?
Yeah, or just all the ghosts just convene and have a party and, like, well, let's haunt people. Let's haunt people. Or is it the black-haired ghost doing some weird, like, mimicry? Probably not. I don't feel like it's that
That's
last one,
not a bad idea, though.
I mean, it could be the ghost doing mimicry, but
just trying to, like, pull on people's heartstrings and scare them, find out what they're really scared of.
Be an all-knowing ghost.
Right. But then I feel like some of the other people, like Zach should have seen, like, his parents die. Like, granted, he's been having the dreams, but I feel like she would have targeted that.
Yeah. So that doesn't feel right either.
I guess we'll have to find out.
I already forgot what she said before that. In my restless dreams, I see that mirror. The one in the study. And in it, I see her. I see them. Lorraine and Hannah. Hannah and Lorraine.
Poor pathetic Marianne. Work, work, work. She'll work herself to death. See, she doesn't listen. That's all she did. Look at what happened to me.
They talk among themselves with cruel smiles and venomous tongues. Or rather, to themselves. 2 heads, 1 body. A horrible mockery of these women, as if they were one and the same.
More's the pity. Life goes on and goes out, and she doesn't even see it. Do you think she'll even realize when she's kicked the bucket herself?
When they say a person has a hard time telling when they're in a dream, it was true often enough. Even with this bizarre sight, even with the obvious implication that this isn't real, I can't help but feel distress.
Likely. Is that any way to live at all? She might as well be dead. Cruel fate that she's alive and I'm... well...
Though they speak into each other's ear, tones low and hushed, I can still hear them as clear as day. Their whispers pervade the air, heavy and oppressive. They bury and dig into my head like tiny maggots worming their way into my skull. Like the one thingy in Wrath of Khan. It is only when they take notice of my presence. Eyes turn towards me, and I can only feel small under their scrutiny. Caricature smiles etch on their faces, mimicking each other grotesquely.
Oh, Marianne! How long have you been standing there, dearie? Come join us, Marianne. We won't bite. Unless you ask, that is. Have you been looking at us? Spying? How scandalous. Such a naughty girl. I'm sure you were just waiting for something lewd to happen, weren't you? You know she will not admit it. She thinks it wrong. You've said it so yourself. Yes. She thought me wrong, impure, abnormal, because I loved her.
My breath hitches and I open my mouth to protest, but they stop me, screeching. The mirror that holds them crackles and lines spidering across its surface.
Do not lie! We know the gluttonous thoughts you try to deny, girl. All those desires you bury beneath that sickening guilt. You act the martyr when you turn the bed you lie in into your own hedonistic hell. You are nothing but a tainted soul with filth-stained flesh held together by falsehood and pride.
Wow. That's savage, I think, is what the kids would say. They look livid. And when it looks like they would lunge, I wake, feeling like the wind had been knocked out of me. With a groan, I squint and find a certain fluff ball sitting on my chest, looking as pleased as Punch.
It's a kitty.
She is the overlady of the cats, queen of despair and destruction of nice furniture. Though I can't stay mad at Her Majesty because it feels like she did something good this time. I was having a nightmare, but I can't even remember what it was about.
That's good.
Trying to recall leaves a terrible pit in my stomach. Maybe it's probably better that I don't remember.
Good morning, Baruthia. Who's the good kitty?
I didn't realize there was a female.
Is that
cat?
why you woke me up?
It is a she because she got really angry at Isabella for asking, like, oh, he's a nice cat. She is a nice cat.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I forgot. A content purr comes from me sweet dear before she jumps off the bed and trots towards the kitchen. On the other hand, it takes me a bit more before I roll out of bed and start my day. Mornings before work is always a quiet affair. Shower first, then a mug of coffee and bowl of oats. Sometimes I do stretches, and I always check my work email. The Wrights will be moving into the mansion today. I don't think the paperwork is officially done yet, but it isn't too far-fetched to think they're allowed to start their move, despite that. Rich people like them will always find ways to get what they want, after all.
I'll be leaving you again today, Beth. So you behave and make sure not to shred up my new covers, okay? And don't worry, I didn't forget tomorrow is Black Cat Day, so I'll throw you a party. But only if you behave like a proper lady.
She barely gives me a glance as I say that before going back to her food. Yeah, but I say that before the cat goes back to her food. Okay. Cats. Still better than humans, most of the time. Too bad I have to work with humans. The place is already busy as soon as I get here. The foreman, one that I've recommended to the Wrights for his work ethic, as early as usual. Already he's instructing men here and there with the bigger loads. I have no chance to talk with him, as Mrs. Wright appears and greets me with a smile.
Mrs. Wright, I hope everything has been to your liking thus far.
Good morning, Marianne. It has been delightful, and these men have been very helpful. Look at all this. It's so busy here. I'm getting tired just looking at them go.
No complications so far with the movers or the previous owners of the mansion, I hope?
If anything, the only one being problematic is Luke, if I'm to be honest. He can be such a diva, but I do like that about him.
She stops, looking up at the upper landing where Mr. Wright comes through with two other movers in the mirror from the study.
Oh, do be careful with that mirror. We wouldn't want anyone getting hurt because of broken glass. Why are you even having it carried around?
Oh? You did say you didn't want the mirror, and I keep getting distracted by it. If I'm going to turn the study into my office, I'd rather not have it there. Where can we put this?
Well, you are not putting it in our room. Why don't you go, I don't know, put it in the wine cellar for now? We can figure out if we'll store it in the attic or somewhere else later, yes?
Oh! That's why she was hearing crying from the... It is the mirror. Oops. It is the mirror.
What do you mean?
There is something up with the mirror. Like we were saying something about what if there's something trapped in the mirror and ghosts. And earlier she was hearing the crying coming from the cellar. Or she will hear crying from the cellar.
But
because they put the thing in the...
They've seen her other places, though.
Sure, but like the source of things. What if she's trapped in the mirror? Spirits are trapped. I don't know.
You heard her, boys. To the cellar it goes. Mush!
Now he said mush that time and not mush.
Mush.
The movers bring down the mirror one step at a time, no matter how much the man tells them to hurry. An unsettling feeling grows in my stomach as I see our reflection in the bloody thing. And I look away, not wishing to risk anything. If I see Lorraine's image in the mirror now, I wouldn't know what I'd do. I don't have the luxury of privacy right now, and I'm not going to break down in front of all these people. Mrs. Wright only shakes her head and laughs at her husband's antics as they take the mirror out of here. He's back at it again soon enough, pointing the men here and there. I'd say he's the man with the plan, but it sort of interferes with the layout and design that we've already agreed upon. I'm about to point it out, but...
It's better you let him realize his mistakes on his own, rather than tell him of them. That way you do not get blamed for his actions. It is more fun, too, to tell him, how does they say it? I told you so, once he slips up.
Been working with him long enough to know that, huh?
It's not like I plan to make too much of a fuss unless what he changes is actually crucial.
It happens often enough, when one is made to accompany him nearly all hours of the day.
Up, higher, come on now.
Still, he could at least be less pushy about things.
Careful now. I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings.
We've heard this line before,
That's what I was going to say.
Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you lot make.
It's surprising how hands-on he is compared to my usual clientele. Well, the both of them are, actually. It's refreshing to have them participate despite their initial reluctance.
Luke, do the dishwashers go into the kitchen or the butler's pantry?
Pantry, Buttercup. Careful, that's Emma. No, you there, put that down. You do not manhandle a Napoleon Abueva.
People can't see it, but I'm mouthing his lines with him. He really needs to tone down the dramatics a notch. Mrs. Wright and the butler look like they're used to it by now. But the rest of us? Well...
Sweetie, why don't we go and sort your suits upstairs?
And talk about having babies.
Let your Hans and Marianne and the foreman deal with the rest of the work.
We have this, Mrs. Wright.
Yes, please do go before a blood vessel bursts. Bloodstains are so troublesome to clean.
He knows from experience.
Because he's a serial killer.
Murder.
There's an obvious sense of relief as Mr. Wright is dragged out of the room, leaving the movers to do their work in peace. Some grumbling even comes from some of the younger workers. It's a good thing the family butler isn't some blindly loyal to his tool to his boss, or there would be trouble with Mr. Wright.
He is such a bratwurst. Whiny baby who never got enough hugs from his mutter.
Probably lost in translation, and not that I'm condoning talking about someone else behind their back, but I think you meant to call Mr. Wright a horrible brat.
Well, here's that too. There are a lot of things I can call him, but I mean to say that he is a big weenie. A childish name for a childish person. Like a child, he whines when he doesn't get what he wants, and he breaks the toys that he has.
That gets a laugh from me, as well as a few of the movers who linger near. He and I carry boxes, instructing the movers where they should be and generally taking over Mr. Wright's work. It goes off without a hitch, and the man is helpful, efficient, and capable with physical labor, despite his clean-cut appearance. A gentleman to boot, taking boxes from me when he sees me struggling with them. Speaking of boxes...
Hey, one of the boxes for the kitchen is missing. Has anyone seen it? The one with the pots and the knives.
The bratwurst had it brought upstairs, thinking it was for the attic.
Why would he... Oh, never mind. I'll go get it.
Why even bring a box of pot and knives to the attic? That man is ridiculous. There's probably no point in making sense of what he does if he does them just because he can. At least it turns out that I don't have to make it all the way up to the attic. The mover, probably on Mr. Wright's orders, left the box on the stairs.
At least it's not that heavy.
I managed to hoist it up without too much effort. But the time it takes for me to do that is long enough for me to overhear an odd conversation I could never in my life imagine coming from a couple like the Wrights.
Why, if you're not careful, I might go a bit loopy and I'll start bringing cats home. And soon enough, one day you'll find yourself going home to a farm just filled with felines that follow you everywhere.
Oh, don't bluff. The things would shred up your precious furniture. Besides, you don't even like cats.
True. Dogs are infinitely superior, of course.
But what about the wet dog smell? The mess. I'm not cleaning up after a mutt, no matter how cute. If you think about it, a cat would be better.
For once, I'll have to agree with Whiskey on this one, though I can live with Mrs. Wright being a dog person. But as amusing as this conversation might get, I really shouldn't be caught eavesdropping or slacking off on the job. At most, I should be looking at ways of possibly soundproofing certain rooms. Perhaps bringing it up if they don't realize the lack of it. I really should move on or keep listening. If I keep listening, we're going to hear the conversation about babies.
Mm-hmm.
we move on, then we move on. I imagine both of them were the one that makes the big crashing sound that they left the room for. Because Luke, that they have they start getting into an argument and there's a crashing sound, and I'm wondering if we're the crashing sound. Us dropping the box of knives and things.
Unfortunately, I don't really remember it that well. I feel like what she's heard so far, if she was a curious person, it wasn't interesting enough to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like she would just be like, okay, I'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of leaning towards that. But at the same time, I feel like we're supposed to be really nosy about everything and climb in people's windows and keep listening to their conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her character probably would move on because she's not typically nosy and has admitted to that. She's not really ever a nosy person.
Right.
I'm just thinking, like, what is she going... I'm thinking of what she'll react to what she's going to hear.
Well, because we know when... Because this is when Hana comes out and talks to her about problems with her husband, correct? Or is that another time?
I think that's another time. I think that's tomorrow or the day after. I think that's the day of the party. It's the day of the party that happens. That's in 2 more days. No, if she stands there, she's going to hear them over talking and arguing, or like talking about the whole thing about having a kid, how he doesn't want a kid because I'm going to be a terrible father. And we made her go like, no, you'd be a wonderful father.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering how she would react to overhearing that conversation. Or is Hans or Johannes going to come up and be like, well, you've been bad, let's put you in the wine cellar.
Honestly, I would just move on.
Okay, fair enough, move on. No matter how bizarre their conversation might get, I really must go. Not to mention, just standing here when I have no more reason to loiter just feels wrong. Besides, the magic word here is privacy. I respect that. Keep it in mind that I won't have a guilty conscience filled to the brim with the secrets of the rich and famous on my hands. I take the stairs 2 at a time if I wasn't in danger of getting stabbed by my baggage, and if nobody else was in the foyer. But as Johannes takes the box from me, I only give him a small smile. There's no reason to gossip about the peculiar conversation of his employers. He's probably heard much odder things from them, and he doesn't seem to be a cat or dog person either. As soon as I follow him into the kitchen, he raises a hand to stop me.
Nine, I know you are a very skilled architect, and I have seen your work. But this shall be my kitchen, and I shall fix it according to my wishes. Yeah?
Kind of weird anyone would think that pots and knives are supposed to go anywhere but the kitchen, huh?
I assume he's gotten them confused. It wouldn't be the first time.
Confused? How does that even work? I understand covers, carpets, or even curtains getting mixed up. Hey, I'd even understand pots being mixed up with silver decor. But knives?
Oh, he has a collection of ornamental ones from his father. It takes them everywhere he goes, wherever he moves.
I guess that makes sense? A bit? Still odd.
He merely shrugs before going back to work. The movers work efficiently when they're left alone, and they do quick work of their responsibilities. The head foreman comes, standing in the doorway to consult me on this or that, and I have to go out and help every now and then. But they pretty much have everything up to standards. They skip lunch entirely, not even realize when they do so. Nevertheless, all is well, as the butler gets to heating up the leftover bubble and squeak from breakfast, and makes a generous batch of fish and chips for them. Bubble and squeak.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Anyway, he makes food. Most likely simple in comparison to what he serves to the rights, but well done nonetheless.
That smells good. Want to wrap up some for me to go?
It's an idle observation more than anything. My thoughts as they are preoccupy me.
If there are any left, one can't go wrong with fish and chips. Everyone loves them. Even my husband. And he's American.
I really do hate getting so up close and personal with my clients. It's a distraction. It is obvious to me that I've got my priorities all wrong when I can't help but think about what I heard, what I learned about the right couple. These things have a way of creeping up on a person, thoughts, ideas, whether they are fact or fiction. They creep up and fester, crawl and writhe in a way that twists. I hear giggling, delighted, and mocking. They creep up, and the sensation of fingers ghosting briefly on my arms caused me to freeze and hiss.
Don't!
I half expect her to be there.
Whoa, no need to scream bloody murder! It's just me. Quiet down before you break glass.
But it's just whiskey.
Don't do that again. Ever.
I don't like being scared. Though I don't believe in the likes of spooks, being startled is not on top of the list of things Marianne liked. Lucky for him, I have nothing within reach, or he would have already gotten on friendly terms with something like a rolling pin.
What was with that reaction? Were you really scared? Has Johan's been telling you ghost stories? He just loves to scare people. Isn't that right, Brother Gurium?
The butler's expression is unreadable. I hardly see any emotion on his face to begin with since I started working for the Wrights, aside from vague amusement. There must have been something there, though, judging from Mr. Wright's own content look. The expression on Mr. Wright's face is almost cruel. But neither of them spoke, even as Johannes leaves the room to serve the workers their late lunch.
So, now that we're alone, Marianne, what are you so jumpy for?
I was just thinking about all the urban legends the movers have been telling me about this place.
Don't tell me you believe in that tosh. They're nothing but tales made up to scare children. Timmy, Billy, don't you dare go up to that big mansion and get in trouble there. The ghosts are going to get you.
That's a boring way to look at it, but that's usually what it is anyway, no? Like I said, I was just thinking.
It would be a relief, actually, if those rumors in this place being haunted is true. That just means I'm not going bonkers. Hearing, let alone seeing, a dead person isn't exactly the symptoms of a healthy mind. Sure, it means there would be such things such as ghouls and goblins, but at least I'd be sane. On the other hand, there would actually be a dead girl walking around.
If you could excuse the inane question, Mr. Wright, you haven't noticed anything weird here?
Simple enough question on the surface, yet I notice the man stiffen as the question leaves my mouth. I wouldn't have noticed it if I wasn't watching his reaction intently, but in his eyes I see something dangerous.
That depends on your definition of the word weird. Are we still on the topic of this place being haunted? Because no, things have not started to fly around and we have yet to require an exorcism. I don't think my head would like to do the whole 180-degree turn thing.
Well, maybe that, but no strange people?
Aside from my usually weird butler and all the weird men traipsing around touching my things? No, not really. Why do you ask? Have you noticed anyone strange while you were here? Because you must report it to Johans and he'll have security handle it. But these reports better not be about ghosts and things that go bump in the night. I don't want to waste manpower on the boogeyman or senseless witch hunts.
I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Wright. But no, it's nothing like that. I guess the mansion is just strange for me. It's a unique project.
No strange men or women lurking about then?
A dead teenager would technically qualify as strange. But yeah, I suppose the whole "I see dead people" thing isn't going to go over well.
None that I know of. But I'll inform Johans immediately if something comes up.
I'm serious, Mint. You see anything, anyone suspicious, and you report it. Immediately.
I think that goes without saying.
The concern he have on the talk of security is quickly gone. concerned. Anyway, his arrogant, smug smirk returns, if a bit subdued. Whatever smarmy remark or innuendo he has at the ready never comes through as voices from the dining hall ring out.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly. For magazines, newspapers.
Zach!
So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least not all the time.
That would be the magazine photographer, I presume. As always, Mrs. Wright talks in such a kind and cheery fashion no matter who she's talking with. It certainly puts people at ease around her. It sounds like it's working on the photographer, too. Hearing them, though, seems to put Mr. Wright in a sour mood. At least, if his small scowl is anything to go by. Is he jealous?
See, I'm just not sure how he'd react, because if she asked us if he's all right, would he actually open up, or would he be like, I'm fine? But if she tried to lighten the mood, in what manner would she do it? Just because he has like such an interesting sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if she would be able to lighten the mood at all, or if it would just make him more upset somehow.
Yeah, this is a very weird situation to be in.
One thing, it's kind of unrelated, but it comes to mind. I was rewatching some earlier stuff from the game.
Mm-hmm.
In the intro sequence, like the intro song.
Yeah.
I made a comment before how it showed everyone's like half of their faces, but it was Luke's full face, and then like glass shattered, and the other half of it looked crazy and like a crazy
Evil.
smile. Yeah. And I said, well, he seems to be like very important then, since his whole face was there.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since,
and
Johans was giving us weird vibes about Luke, and then Luke was being weird.
Yeah, and logic suggests that he's the last person we'll play as.
Yeah. And so I just thought that was kind of interesting. I'm wondering what Johans almost let slip before he said father. Because it was a V, so maybe he was just going to say father in German?
Mm-hmm.
Or was he going to say...
Victims?
I know, something. I'm like, what else starts with a V? That was just an interesting thoughts I've been having. But I'm not.
Well, if we're sticking to this, like the thing of like Marianne's like, it's not really my place to like jump into things, but she's also not been like the joking type either. Right.
I'm kind of leaning towards the ask if he's all right, unless she's gonna do it in a dick way like she did with Isabella. You trying to say something?
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's like, what's wrong with you, Whiskey?
I'm really uncertain, and since you have a leaning, I'll go with your leaning.
Yeah.
Ask if he's all right.
Yeah, I don't really know. That's just what I'm kind of.
Hey, are you all right there, Whiskey? You're looking like you need a serious drink.
What is it that you want to do then?
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
I'm fine. Just a bit winded from all that moving about. It's been a long day.
And the day's not over yet. So if you can excuse the bloodness, you either shape up to help or ship out back to your room and let us do the rest of the work.
What's that about being a dick about how you ask someone a question? This is actually really funny because now all of the women in this game that have interactions with Luke have been really like forceful towards him and treating him like he is a child. Anyway, he hesitates, eyes locked firmly on the door that led to the dining hall. Even now, we can still hear as Mrs. Wright and the photographer chit-chat in between shots.
It's not my place to say this, but She really does seem to care a lot about you, you know?
There's no need to remind me of that. Tell the workers that you're all dismissed early.
That's nice and all, whiskey. But we really shouldn't just take off. Delays aren't a good thing when it comes to big projects like these. The sooner we tackle certain issues, the better.
And I trust you can take care of these issues another day. Don't make me ask again, Mint. Just tell the others they can go home early, and to not worry, they'll still get paid the remaining hours.
I don't know what prompted this. With the air he's putting on, though, I know better than to meddle and prod further. Besides.
Fine, you're the boss.
Walking out of the kitchen, I just accept the fact that whatever he says will go under his roof. Mrs. Wright and the photographer are still far too busy in conversation to notice me, even as I make my way through the dining hall. Besides, I don't want to ruin their fun.
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Fonzie very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Going to the foyer has me stumble upon the family butler once more, who raises a brow at my presence.
And where are you off to in a hurry, Miss McCulloch? The foreman is looking for you.
Thanks for saying her name right.
The Bratwurst wants us off the clock. He's dismissing us early because of... Oh, I don't know. He just wants us out of here.
I'll go and call a cab for you then. It would be for the best that you leave when he asks you to.
I don't doubt it.